Thank you. So how are you today? So I guess this is the last, leg of the session. So I, come from an operator background, and thanks for some of the insights and experiences shared by the fellow speakers earlier on, talking about how to build new experiences. So I come from an operator background, so I have a few things that I want to share with you with respect to what we are doing to bring in some of the best things for the developers. So just about myself, this is my third week in Vodafone, so you can expect that, how much I have, to share with you in terms of some of the platforms we have deployed. So the topic today I've chosen is innovation and monetization. The key is, we always, as mobile developers, try to innovate a lot and try to, address the pain points of the consumers. But one of the things that we also need to look into is how do we monetize these different applications and content. So there has been a challenge, a country like India, which is very diversified and segmented, charging the end user is always a difficult, experience. So people talked about credit cards because of the low credit card penetration in India. So a lot of times we leverage or we want to depend on the operator billing. So here is some good news that I'm going to share with you.
Just a moment, Prakash. Can we request everyone not to walk out between sessions? The tea break is anyways not going to start before the session is completed. So requesting everyone to please sit down wherever you are. Thank you.
So that's probably, as I said, an operator, a guy from an operator background or representing an operator coming here and talking about developers is something strange, right? So yeah, so believe me, we have something interesting. So just sit tight, and then, just bear with me for the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you something very interesting. And hopefully, some of the concerns that you, or the pain points that you are going through, and we can definitely, answer those things. So as I said, I don't have to, build a lot on my presentation. So I'm just going to directly, just to, of course, share some of the things. Of course, in the last 10 to 15 years, we have seen a lot of technology advancements and evolutions. This led to, device convergence, network convergence, service convergence. And today we're already seeing the overlap of services, right? Moving forward, how is it going to look like? So all these advancements, we are going towards something called a true convergence, right? So where we provide unified services experience, which is seamless and network agnostic, right? So this is something that was envisaged, more than a decade by, the operators. So an operator who is having, different networks, different domains, would like to provide these kind of service experiences to their subscriber base. So how do we do that? See, as I said, the convergence is definitely going to provide lots of new experiences to the consumers. It opens up a lot of different opportunities in the market. And the existing operators who are currently providing these vast services will be moving away. And so there is a shift that's going to happen, time to time. And we will see that, the need for providing, enhanced consumer experience is paying for this digital convergence will result in providing more of these direct-to-consumer services. So some of the services that we already want to provide, today we cannot provide through the operator network. So because it's a walled garden, there is no such thing where you can access to some of the APIs. So as a developer, so what are we going to do here? So one thing that we need to look at is consumers always have high expectations for services, right? And a market like India, which, as I said, very segmented, and of course we have people speak different languages. It's very difficult to build apps which will address at a mass market level. So you have to look into the niche market segments and explore these opportunities. So also at the same time, we need to understand, the user, the consumer behavior patterns, the usage patterns, how the consumer is going to use the service, identify the roles, profiles, and how they're going to access to these services, whether on the road, or home, hotspot. So if when you have all this information, the details, that means, you are really trying to build something which really addresses to the pain points of these niche market segments. So the trend is more on micro-segmentation, and we are moving towards the consumer-centric models. So how do we realize these consumer-centric models? So it's easier said than done, because when we are trying to build services for each of these consumer segments, so a lot of innovation is required, right? Because you may have to have a very solid business case, but there is potential, there is opportunity. So let's see that, who's going to do it. Of course, we have to leverage on the developer communities. There's a lot of innovation is happening. We have to tap into that innovation, and then also see that these services are reaching to the end user. So how it's going to happen is so we have deployed a service delivery platform. So by the way, have you heard about this term SDP? Any of you? If you could raise hands just to see that. Okay, so it's not something new, service delivery platforms, or in the industry it's also called as SOAs. This is basically how an operator can open up the network resources, because the operator has a lot of network resources, information available. But to help the developers to develop something in those niche market segments, you need to have this information available. So you need to have something like these service delivery platforms, which will basically open the existing enablers like location, messaging, the billing APIs, all of that stuff. So this will enable the developers to integrate these APIs into their applications and provide experience to their target consumer segment. So Vodafone is the first operator in India which has deployed this STP, okay? Which means that you as a developer, it's a great news, because you're going to get those APIs which you always wanted to have. For example, in a market like India, people would like to have more of local relevant applications. So how do we provide those local relevant applications, right? As I said, the market is so segmented, and we are going toward micro-segmentation, so it's not easy to build a service for each of these segments. And at the same time, monetize this, right? So for monetization, you have to have some sort of an access to the operator information, whether it's subscriber profile, whether it's location, messaging. So when you have all these APIs and you can build more integrated services experience, it's not just talking about very discrete applications. You can mash up services, and then even the normal user can create a personalized service using these APIs. So we are shifting from what we have seen, and because obviously leveraging on the rich resources of the operators, and platforms like this will help basically for the third parties. So all the guys who have been typically building mobile-centric applications, now is an opportunity to build also network-centric applications. So that means you are in a position to deliver more of an enhanced consumer experience. So for that, obviously we have to build our own ecosystem, and very rarely operators talk about having their own developer ecosystem. Of course, we have seen in the Europe a lot of operators tried that, but this is a serious effort. This is a serious effort, believe me, that we want to connect with you and leverage on your innovations and take it to the market. So if you want to go to market, come to us, and you want to monetize, come to us, because these are some of the things that we are seriously looking at. So just to start with, obviously you need to have a place where you can go register yourself. So we would like to differentiate here, what is a developer and a partner. Of course, developer is when you start developing the applications. When you want to sort of really do business with us, build business relations with us, so you become a partner for us. So there is a separate portal where you can register yourself, create sort of services. Yeah. So some of the APIs, as I said, what we are going to expose to the third parties. So this is a lot of effort that we put in the last 6 months or so to open up these APIs. The first thing that is available is billing API. Why are we emphasizing on billing API? Is there are a lot of services still in the market which are developed by developers, but they are struggling to build revenues on it. So how do they take it to the market is very essential. So if you think there is a service, and if you know that this is the addressable target audience, their consumer base, so integrating the billing API, then you can monetize it. Okay. So, and then of course, we are working on new APIs like the consent API, account API, and all of those things. So when you are building, trying to build these new experiences, deliver, different services experience to niche market segments, so some of these things will be very useful to you. So even if it's like a developer, a content aggregator, or a guy who is in the enterprise domain, they need all of these informations at some point of time to provide a very seamless and enhanced service experience. So that's our part. Of course, you can take a look at how we're going to share the revenues. Okay. So by the way, there will be another session that will be coming up later in the afternoon, or maybe in our time. So my colleague Dhananjay will be there to walk you through the process, the partner onboard process, how you can be part of the Vodafone partner program, and how you can benefit out of these APIs. And of course, there will be some technical information that will be shared as well. So I think that's an important session that you should not miss. So as a benefit to the partner is easy onboard partner management. If some of you have really done business with operators, selling some of your earlier applications, you know the pain point that you've gone through. So that's all going to go through. That will be now reduced significantly. So realize direct-to-consumer services and monetize with operator billing. So this is the killer now. So this is what I meant to say, that you have the real potential to take your services to the market. Okay. So hassle-free settlement and service contact. So it's nothing like it's hidden. You will get access to your accounting information. Settlement will be done smoothly. So all the APIs are there. You will be having a dashboard where you can look at this information time to time. So the, access to network resources in the form of easy APIs. So this is basically there are a lot of information you and I won't understand. So what we are trying is, with the help of these frameworks, service delivery platforms, we are building a network abstraction layer which will bring in all of these vital information that will be useful for building these service mashups. Of course, you can always keep your customer happy, when you have all of this information. So these are some of our partners. Just a glance, I'm not going to go into details here, but you know that how seriously people are working with us. So I'm not saying that only the best will get the opportunity to take their applications or services to the market, but you, even as a long tail developer, can think about monetizing your application. Even though it's a content, of course, then there's a process that you need to follow, but then no more barriers now. We are lowering the entry barrier for a lot of long tail developers as well. So this is the partner onboard process, very easy. As I said, just visit our the partner.vodafone.in. So we'll get to know the details. And we're also providing some testing sort of environment, sandbox, so you can test your application before going to the production itself. So as I said, this is different. Earlier, I was working in Nokia. I was heading the forum Nokia and doing a lot of evangelism. But this is different because operator, coming and opening up their networks. This is something that was envisaged and started coming in. A lot of specifications were defined by 3GPP, way back in 2000 itself. But we've not seen the complete SDP, full-blown SDPs deploying in the operator network. So now is an opportunity for you to bring that thing, what you have developed for the web world or the internet, and then integrate these APIs and start monetizing it. So of course, we are interested in listening to you, what you have. You can always talk to me, send an email. Meantime, as I said, just browse through this website. You get a lot of information. So that's it. So I just wanted to seek this message, share with you that we from Vodafone are the first operator to unveil this platform, and a lot of great APIs that are going to come in and help you in sort of, and also there's a lot of advantages like reaching out to the Vodafone subscriber base itself. So in the next coming weeks and months, we'll be hearing a lot from what we are doing, and we'll be connecting more closely with the developers to share the information, any updates that are coming. So thank you, and so if, we have a booth, by the way, so you can, if you have any questions and you want to sort of discuss directly with me or any of my colleagues, most welcome. And please do attend the next session at 10:45, I believe, and also there's one more by Bala around 2 o'clock. So these two sessions will help you to connect. Obviously I can't go into the details, but anyway, so hopefully I'll see some of you partnering with us. Thanks a lot. Thank you.